Hello and welcome to the Frame Podcast. My name is Craig, and today we are talking all things Dutton Ranch, the Yellowstone spin-off starring Beth and Rip. And what a finale it was. Yeah, absolutely incredible, and I can't wait to get into it. So let's just get straight into this incredible series. Of course, if you are a fan of Yellowstone, Dutton Ranch, Beth and Rip, all of that stuff, then go ahead and hit that follow button. Let us know all your thoughts, subscribe, and yeah, we'd love to know. We'd love to know. Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts that I want to discuss, and I have a lot of thoughts about this series. As a big fan, I do want to initially talk about the event I was invited to very quickly because it was one of the best events I'd ever been to. So Paramount Plus invited me down to see the first episode, and we were welcomed initially by a horse, which was great because I love horses. And then we got some great food, some great drinks, some live music. We went downstairs, and in one of the cinema screens was some more live music, which was just amazing. The singer was incredible, or singers actually. There was a couple, and then we go into the other cinema room, and there was a whiskey tasting, and I love my whiskey. That was incredible. And then they break us up with a bar fight in the bar and stuff, and you're thinking, okay, what's going on here? And then they direct you into the screen. Before seeing the episode, we were welcomed by Cole Hauser and Kelly Riley. Beth and Rip were in my presence. They were literally in touching distance, and they gave us an intro, and we watched the first episode, and yeah, what a start to this incredible series. The first episode completely blew me away because we understand the reasons why they left Montana. You know, the end of Yellowstone, they had the little ranch, they had Carter there, everything was going smoothly, and then at the start of this first episode, we understand that there was a fire, and obviously Rip goes out to save the cattle, and we get to know this little calf that we end up seeing, in a few episodes down, which was heartbreaking. But it was a really, really strong first episode. And, I love Beth and Rip. Beth and Rip are they're powerhouses, right? Cole and Kelly are forces of nature when it comes to this show. Every single time they're on screen, whether they're ranching or fighting or whatever, they're entertaining as anything. Beth and Rip are some of the best written characters in the show, and I absolutely love these two. But that first episode was great. And then we obviously are now in Texas. We're in Rio Paloma, the fictional town of Rio Paloma. And Beth and Rip just want that simple life. We're a few months down after the fire. They're in Texas now. And like I said, they just want that simple life. They just want to just own a few cattle, sell a few cattle, and that's it. But it's never that simple with these two, right? It's never that simple with these two. Because we are introduced to Rob Will quite initially at the gas station, when Rip's with Azul, one of the new ranch hands. And yeah, I mean, Jai Courtney is great in this. I mean, he's a great actor anyway. He's a phenomenal actor. But we're introduced to Rob Will, and he's one of those unhinged, chaotic, you just don't know, unpredictable sort of things, and I find that entertaining. Everyone likes that entertaining, but he was great, right? And we understand that there's the 10 Petal Ranch. And one of the main things that happened in the first couple of episodes was the fact that Rob Will shot this guy called Wes. And throughout most of it, you're understanding what's going on, why has he done that, and obviously we get our answers towards the end of the series. But we're obviously trying to find out, what's going on with Wes, why was he shot? He was obviously then dumped onto Dutton Ranch land. It was all going down with Rob Will, right? And Joaquin's trying to sort of clean up the mess with it. It's just a lot for him to handle. And Boola's got a lot going on. And at the time, we're trying to understand, what's going on. Why have they killed this guy, Wes? And then we get to a few episodes in and, we understand that, they've bought this new bull. They're trying to, increase the amount of cattle they have. And then they get the worst things you can get as a cattle rancher, and that is, of course, that your bull has foot and mouth disease. And that was just one of the most devastating episodes. That episode was genuinely heartbreaking. Yeah, even thinking about it now, I'm just still just like shocked because we get Rip's going through it, man. He's sat there telling us all, telling Beth, telling Zachariah that he's got this. He doesn't want him to handle it. Carter's away because Beth didn't want him knowing about this. And then you get to that final shot and you see the calf that he saved in the first episode, and I think I speak for everyone when I say that was brutal. That was devastatingly brutal. And I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say that broke me. It broke Rip, it broke Beth, and it showed, the raw and real side of cattle ranching, and as we know, they lost all their cattle in that, which then obviously meant to Rip getting a job at the 10 Petal Ranch, Beth then following suit and becoming more of a business side with Bula, and I always thought there was some sort of ulterior motive with Bula, and I, as we know from the finale, she had she liked Beth and Rip. She liked what they were like, and she trusted in them. But I'll get to more of the finale in a little bit. But as we know, Beth's a powerhouse in the business side. Rip is the person you exactly want as a foreman. So this was on the right side, and then Rob Will comes back from rehab, and again it all just goes completely chaotic. Yeah, I mean, just thinking about more of this episode every now and again, I'm just shocked to my core about different things. But one of the things I do want to talk about, which I know a lot of people aren't too pleased with, or they have their thoughts or whatever, but I do think that Carter had quite an interesting, and for me, I liked his storyline. He's been through it. As we know from meeting him in Yellowstone, he's lost both of his parents. He's now taken in by Beth and Rip. It's a lot for him then, and then he loses his house in Montana that he was a part of as well. It was his as much as everyone else's, and then he's moved down to Texas. He's lost that identity of being part of in Montana. He was obviously extremely close to John Dutton, so John Dutton's passing was a big thing to him. And then we're down in Texas, and he meets this guy called Dwight. I thought there was again some more ulterior motive, but it wasn't. Dwight was just the chillest guy ever, giving him beers, helping him out, showing him his pet cheetah. I mean, it was cool. And then, as we know, Dwight gets shot, and Carter sees it happen and sees him go, and I feel for him. I really feel for him. And then obviously he's got everything going on with Oriana. He was getting close to her. He told her he loved her a little bit early. She then took a step back, and then everything happened at that party, and it all went down there. It was a lot for him. And I think he was just going through some sort of crisis, some identity crisis, and he just didn't really know what to do with himself. And I don't know why people didn't really like that. He's had a tough life, and he's only 19, so I don't know what else anyone really expected. But I thought Finn Little, we got to see a lot more of Finn Little in this, who plays Carter, and he's phenomenal. He's a really, really great actor. And as we know from the end of that, he's been taken by the cartel. So yeah, he hasn't had it easy. Carter has not had it easy in this, and I can't wait to see what happens with him in season 2. Will he be fine? Of course he'll be fine, But I mean, you never know. You never know with this series. But I've liked him. I've liked Carter in this. I've liked Finn Little in this, and yeah, give him his kudos because he's a great actor. And what an accent! He's an Australian. He puts on this incredible accent, which doesn't get talked about a lot. And I really liked him in this. But the new additions, I like the new additions. Let's talk about the new additions of Dutton Ranch real quick. Obviously, we're introduced to Bula, played by the fantastic Annette Bening. She was great. I always thought that there was some sort of ulterior motive with with her, and obviously we understand a bit about why it was a lot for her throughout the series. She obviously had the heart attack during the party a few episodes back, and we just thought that perhaps she was trying to cover up a couple of things, but I didn't know the extent it was. And then obviously we find out the cartel were involved. She's been trying to get out of this entanglement, if you will. Moriano, who was sort of a babysitter, if you will, from the flashbacks, we understand about what happened with hiding the body when she was 16. Moriano has then left her with Joaquin. They've obviously gone back to Mexico, and now she's getting involved in transporting drugs through cattle. It's a lot. It's a lot for her. But she was great in this series, and I can't wait to see where it goes in season 2, because after that incredible finale, we find out that Moriano's basically taken the lead. Joaquin has gone and killed her biological son, Rob Will, which is a real shame, because I would have liked to see more of like a redemption arc with him. But that was tough to see. Oriana's reaction, Annette Bening's reaction, it is tough. It was really tough. And a character that I really, really liked seeing was Everett, played by the phenomenal Ed Harris. He was incredible. When we were introduced to him to sort of the first episodes with what happened with the horse, him saving the horse, we obviously have this history with Bula. He was just, I always thought there was something else with him, but he's just obviously not, and he's just trying to go about his daily life, being a vet, and more of his history came out in that finale when he's put, a gun's put in his hand and he's defending the Dutton Ranch against the cartel, and he's got a couple of them. I really enjoyed his character in this. I wasn't too sure about Oriana in this. She's just there. I haven't really got too many thoughts on that. Her getting close to Carter, we obviously get introduced to her quite early. I always wonder what happened to the other guy that from the first couple of episodes, but overall wasn't too bad. I did like the ranch hand, Zachariah and Azul. I really liked seeing them. I thought they were great additions. I thought they were great ranch hands. And obviously standing up for the ranch at the end with that finale. So, I'm glad none of them got it. I'm glad they're still here. I'm glad they're coming back for season 2. So I'm really intrigued to see what happens with that. Azul's obviously having his kid. There's a lot going on. And season 2 is going to be a very interesting one. The cartel now have Carter. Cartel have Carter. Yeah. There's a lot happening. I'm trying to think of what would, what direction it will go to in season 2. Beth and Rip obviously found out that Carter is now taken by the cartel. What will happen to Bula? How much, will she try and change, or who knows? Oriana was going to leave with Carter. That's obviously not happening anymore. There's a lot happening, and that cliffhanger was tough. Because now we got to wait for season 2. Yeah, it's one of those ones where you start talking about it, and the more comes up. Obviously, Mariano and the cartel want Tempesto Ranch. They want to keep this drug mule business going. How much impact is Beth and Rip going to have on that? There's a lot. I always wonder what sort of crossovers will happen. Whether we're going to see more of, the guys from Marshalls. Are we going to see any of the old ranch hands from Yellowstone? Obviously, the 4 Sixes is close by technically. So are we going to see perhaps Jimmy or Tita? I had this thought. So I was watching Marshalls. I finished Marshalls, and as we know, Tate has been taken by the guy over to Texas, completely unaware. Casey's completely unaware. I just wonder if perhaps that's going to have some sort of impact. Are they going to cross over? Is Casey going to go down to Texas and meet up with them, or is Beth and Rip going to try and save Tate? There's crossovers that can happen. Will they, or should crossovers happen in this world? Like, Should we see people from Yellowstone Ranch joining? Should we see people from Marshall's? I don't know too much. I'm glad none of them showed up really in season 1. I'm glad we got a focus on Beth and Rip and Carter and everything else. I don't know if it will go down the direction of perhaps seeing that in season 2, maybe in season 3. I don't know. There's a lot to focus on in that bit. But overall, this series, I would say, as a whole, season 1 of Dutton Ranch has been great. There's not really a lot of parts of it I didn't really like. I don't know if anyone else has got thoughts watching this, whether you think that, you weren't too happy with Dutton Ranch. A lot of people didn't like Carter's story. There's a lot to digress in this. I guess it's not exactly a massively fun episode when I'm not giving flaws, but I think it's really great when you enjoy something, when you watch something and you enjoy it and you look forward to the next episode. A weekly drop of the next episode is great. We got 9 episodes in this one. Hopefully we get some more in the next one. With the rate that they push out these Yellowstone shows, the Madison is coming back for season 2 and season 3. That'll probably most likely drop at the end of this year, I imagine. You got Marshall season 2 coming out. You got 1944 coming out. You got the 4/6s coming. And then Dutton Ranch season 2, which I imagine will be the same time next year. When you're a Yellowstone fan, the Dutton Ranch fan, you're living great. So there's a lot going on. And I'm glad they don't let it drain out too long before giving us something else. But it's not just that. Taylor Sheridan's writing is great, and Taylor Sheridan, the projects that he gives is great. You got Lioness, which is great, Landman, obviously everything in the Yellowstone universe. You got a couple of movies as well. This man works overtime. So Lioness is coming out in August, and then everything else is dropping. So there's a lot to look out for with that. But I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all the thoughts I want to give in this. I don't want to go on too long and ramble about the same thing, but I'd love to know all your thoughts about Dutton Ranch Season 1 in the comments. Bring on Season 2. Bring on Season 2 of Dutton Ranch. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment, let us know all your thoughts, and any support is massively appreciated. And we'll be back very, very soon.